So hey Company 008, it's Xiant again, and here's some Endgame TDM. I apologize for there being no game sound, but DxTory likes to reset all your sound settings every time you open it back up. So you'll just have to deal with the music and my lovely, lovely annoying voice. I wanted to talk today about Endgame, and the fact that for me as a whole, the DLC is kind of meh. Capture the Flag is interesting, but if two people with the flag get in tanks at opposite ends of the map, it just becomes a giant game of Team Deathmatch on bigger maps. And Team Deathmatch is not made for big maps, it's made for the maps that are the size of the Team Deathmatch maps, that are closer, with shorter sight lines, where there's always a little more action going on. And of course you have Rush, and the Rush maps aren't bad, but there's some really, really lazy design in the Rush maps, especially the one in the fields with the hay bales. It's all they did was, okay, they plopped like 3 buildings, and then they did a whole bunch of terrain editing and said, oh, we're done, that's a map, we're good. So I don't really care for the maps on Rush, and I haven't tried Conquest, but I hear that it's awful and broken and bleh. And I haven't tried Air Superiority because I'm not a vehicle guy. But one of the things that's really making me like Endgame is Team Deathmatch. And that's interesting because I'm not really a Team Deathmatch player, I'm very much an objective player in Battlefield, but I'm finding that these maps are really well made for Team Deathmatch. They mix the best of all the Team Deathmatch maps from the core. You have the close quarter container shipment stuff from Now Shark Canals that we have here on this map. You have a lot of the longer sight lines and the closer one-sidedness of, say, Karg Island or Grand Bazaar. And then you have a couple other new things that weren't in any of the core maps, at least not in their basic function. And so Endgame for me is not an objective-based DLC, it is a Team Deathmatch DLC, which is not really a good thing for the DLC's sake because there's a new game mode, there's new assignments, but I don't like the new game mode or the assignments. And the STAC pistol, I love the 1911, but I like it without any attachments. With the tac light, it doesn't seem to kill anything. With the silencer, it looks stupid and it doesn't seem to kill anything. And the reload generally is too slow, and the damage is too low, and the rate of fire too slow for it to be effective in comparison to the M9 or the Grok, or my personal favorite, the 44 Magnum. But with these DLCs, I feel like I want to enjoy them. I want to have fun for the $14 I paid way back when I bought Premium. And if I'm going to do that, I'm going to have to jump into TDM, at least for Endgame. Now, a lot of people didn't like Armored Kill for various reasons. The AC-130 was broken, the Rush maps were crazy bad, the Conquest was stupid, you had really dumb tank superiority which just turned into a whole bunch of people shooting with tanks and then the tanks getting blown up and you're stuck as a recon spotting everything with your SOFLAM. But Armored Kill Conquest, for me, was a barrel of laughs. I had a great time with Armored Kill Conquest, and I think that was actually, for me, one of the better DLCs, simply because, for the most part, it was pretty, it was aesthetically different, the game modes were new, the AC-130 was a really nice addition, even though it was on rails, and the ATVs, oh god, the ATVs, I could just spend an entire 20-minute Conquest match running around in an ATV, not killing anything, just going off of hills, maybe C4ing some tanks, and just going beep beep all over the place, because I think that's one of the most fun things you can do in an ATV. And now in Endgame you have the dirt bike. But the problem with the dirt bike is that the Endgame maps are not built for it. Yes, they're technically built for it with all these really short, thin lanes that you can go through and a whole bunch of places with ramps for jumps, but I would rather have the impromptu jumps of the ATVs and the Armored Kill maps than I would the sort of staged, not really as cool jumps here on the Endgame maps. And Capture the Flag is, as a game mode, the way they've implemented it, not very good. And again, I haven't played Conquest, and Rush is fun. I mean, it's not a great DLC map pack for Rush, but you know, it's not terrible. And of course, I don't really play Squad Rush, and I'm not a vehicle guy at all. I barely have anything unlocked for the main battle tank, even less unlocked for the armored personnel carrier, less still for the chopper, and almost nothing unlocked for the jets, because I can't fly jets, and I'm perfectly aware that I can't fly jets, so I'm not going to try to fly jets. And so I've always liked the infantry-based mode. That's why I like Grand Bazaar as a rush map, but despite the fact that there's some really stupid choke points on that map. I mean, there's only one tank, and it's all infantry. I like Damavan Peak because while, yes, there are vehicles like the helicopters, it's not vehicle-dominated like something like Caspian Border is. And I've really always liked TDM, not just as a way to sort of warm up, but as a way to just do nothing but infantry combat. And in Endgame, I want to enjoy it. I like the way these maps are designed. I like the colors. I like the fact that there's another snow map. I think that even the field map is interesting, even though I haven't played TDM on it. And I think if you're going to invest yourself in a series, as much as I have with Battlefield, or even Call of Duty, and you buy the DLC, all of the DLC, either at the beginning of the game's life cycle, or as it's released, you should take the time to play it. For Modern Warfare 3, for example, every map, from the core maps to the DLC maps, everything but the, like, almost down to the very last map. I think the latest maps were pretty good, but they were crap. The game itself was crap, and the maps were crap, because the developers had no idea how to make a Call of Duty game. But I played almost every DLC map when it came out, because I had to somehow justify the money I had spent. And I hate to say that about something like Endgame and Battlefield, and the game I love so much, but that's how I feel right now. I feel like I have to play Team Deathmatch, of all things, to justify my purchase of Endgame. Full disclosure, I actually enjoy Endgame for Team Deathmatch. I think it's one of the best Team Deathmatch DLCs. But I want to like Capture the Flag. I want to like Rush. I want to like Conquest, and I'm just not seeing it. And to avoid making this a complaint video, I want to emphasize that as a whole, Endgame is meh for me. But where it works exceptionally. Team Deathmatch is exceptional on this DLC because it takes all of the best parts of Team Deathmatch from the core game and puts it here. And that's what I think they really should have done from the beginning, is take the best from the core game and apply it to their DLC. And with Strike at Karkand, they really should have taken a whole bunch of lessons from their old designers. You know, Close Quarters was very good for what it was, but it wasn't Battlefield, I don't think. It was Battlefield in the sense that it was infantry and there was fast paced, but it was still more Call of Duty than it was Battlefield. It was still good. And you have Armored Kill, which was very much Battlefield with the giant epic maps and the vehicles and all of it. But it wasn't focused, it didn't have enough balance between the infantry and the vehicles. Then you have Aftermath, which came closest to getting back to that Strike at Karkand feel. And now you have Endgame, where they're sort of, they knew they had to start developing Battlefield 4, and they still had to spend time developing the last DLC pack. And they had to spend time developing Mirror's Edge 2 and Bad Company 3. And so they said, alright, how can we get the best of it, but still make it work? And they said to themselves, alright, let's focus on just one game mode. And so that was Capture the Flag. But they knew Capture the Flag would probably become Team Deathmatch at some point, and so they focused heavily on the Team Deathmatch side. At least that's what I feel. And do I think that was to the detriment of the DLC itself? Yeah, I think as a whole, their design philosophy of we have to design the maps for every game mode, not the best idea, because you can't do that and remain a balance across the board. Now, I know that Call of Duty makes its maps for all of its game modes, but the difference here is that Battlefield maps are so much larger in scale. And there's so much more material that has to be done, and so much more time that has to be spent in balancing, that it's almost impossible to make every game mode work for all of these maps. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I haven't rambled on too long, and I'll see you guys next time.